All right, we're trying this one more again. The first time seemed like it went well. Just want to have two witnesses. Tried a couple different things. The first time seemingly was quite clear. So we're going to try this one more again to see what we get on this end. Let's pause here in a minute. In the middle here, let's just read a few verses just to see how they sound. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them may be compared to a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rains fell and the floods came, and the winds blew and slammed against that house. And yet it did not fall, for it had been founded on the rock. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does not act on them, will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and slammed against that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. When Jesus had finished these words, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, for he was teaching them as one having authority and not as the scribes. I'm saying some things loud because I can get just a little excited here and there. I'm also going to read in somewhat of a different tone, lower it a little bit. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds. To him who knocks it will be open. Or what man is there among you who, when his son asks for a loaf, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, he will not give him a snake, will he? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give what is good to those who ask him? In everything, therefore, treat people the same way you want them to treat you. For this is the law and the prophets. This section comes from what is customarily called the Sermon on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount has been called the Magna Carta, if you will, of Jesus' ministry. It's his inauguration of this new righteous system. And within this body, within this sermon, much of the information is directed primarily at those individuals who seek to attain righteousness through the keeping of the law. These individuals seeking to attain a righteousness primarily and solely based on law keeping is refuted by the words of Jesus within this particular section. You will oftentimes hear him say, "You have heard it has been said, but I say." Those words are not necessarily drawing our attention back to what we call the Old Testament, but it is primarily directed at an interpretation ascertained by the theologians of the day, better known as scribes and Pharisees. And within this particular section, the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus begins to communicate the true way of righteousness and how that is ultimately ascertained by an internal impact, not merely something external, not merely something that is based on a ritual, not that which is contingent upon stringent and rigid law keeping, but a heart that is changed by the righteousness that comes from above. So I'll stop there. See how that fares. It's kind of hard to get loud but I think I need to get loud just to see what it will do when I get loud. All right, we'll go with that. Let's see what we get here. Let's see what we get. I think we're going to be good.